So my name is Scott Barlow. I am the Chief Evangelist and Global Head of Community at Sophos. I actually built the Sophos MSP program from the ground up about 10 years ago in April. So super excited to be here. I love the XChange events. I want to talk a little bit about profiting from AI. And I'm going to do a little bit different of a presentation. Not going to talk much about Sophos, but I want to talk about what we're seeing out there in the industry. From an AI perspective. So there are really three major trends. I don't think that this is going to surprise anybody. First is the malicious use of AI. I've done a lot of research around this, and it's actually fascinating. And I actually am going to use the word gaslighting in my presentation, which I'm not sure has ever happened before. Agentic SOC, how do you improve and accelerate cybersecurity outcomes? I loved the prior speakers. What are you going to do as a service? We always talk about selling cybersecurity as a service. I also think that you need to sell cybersecurity outcomes. That is super important from an industry perspective. And then the third trend is enterprise AI adoption. What this means is that your customers are out there building their own applications. How are you going to secure that? And that, I think, is going to be the biggest risk moving forward over the next year or so. So we all know using AI is important. It's going to give you a competitive advantage. It's going to improve your client expectations because they want to obviously improve their own operational efficiency. How can you as an MSP help them do that in a secure fashion? Obviously enhancing cybersecurity and then data-driven insights. How many people are just have data overload right now from the reports that you get every single day from Power BI or whatever you're using? It is exhausting. I know so much more about every one of you guys than I ever wanted to know. And it gets awkward, especially Reagan over there. And you guys are all using AI, right? For service desk, endpoint, EDR. If you say you're not using AI, you actually are, because every single vendor that you use has an AI component to their tools. Same thing with RMM and then building custom tools. Anybody vibe code here? Okay, almost everybody. And so there's this dark side of AI. And as I was doing this research, I was talking to a lot of very close friends and partners out there in the industry. And we need to pay attention to the legal and the ethical risks around using Gen AI. First is behavioral. You have accuracy. I was reading an article this morning about a 60-year-old man that was using ChatGPT and said, I want to reduce my salt intake. And ChatGPT said, sure, just change from sodium chloride to sodium bromide. That is a hallucination because he ended up in the psych ward because he was freaking out for about 2 months. That's scary. Your end users do not understand the concept of AI hallucination. Biased outputs, same concept. And there's a lot of liabilities. Also, transparency risks. How do you know that AI was used in could be a case or some disclosure? Security risks, AI, end users uploading PII, PHI, to do a full-blown analysis. I use it all the time for my own health, which I love, and I got some really cool stories about that, but I'm not going to share them on main stage. But your end users, if they want to improve their operational efficiency, they might upload, a full-blown list of PII or PHI to an end customer. To AI. That's scary. That is a breach. And then there's a million other risks, right? How do you keep up with regulations? How do you, as an MSP, help your end customers keep up with all of the regulations that are out there? And so we also see threat actors using AI every single day. They scale and personalize social engineering. Humans are really good at detecting spelling errors or grammatical errors. AI fixes that. Deep fakes. I actually got an email from our CEO that had a deep fake video asking me to wire money, which I thought was comical, but it is scary because your end users don't understand the concept or the depth of these videos and how accurate they are. Automating reconnaissance, evasion, polymorphism, which is also another really interesting concept. And they actually can go back and forth via email, chat. You have all these applications, Signal, Telegram, et cetera, that all of these new threat vectors are introducing more complexity to your job. And then abusing AI ecosystems. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But business email compromise is the top moneymaker right now for threat actors that are out there. Data leakage, invisible risk surface, the whole risk surface management, that is massive right now. So we just launched identity, ITDR, and EASM and IASM, the attack surface management. That is going to be the next hot topic for you, because now it's not just about cybersecurity, it's about how do you secure every single application that exists out there that your customers are using. And then slop squatting, it's a new term that I just heard last week, and it's where malicious actors will register in public repositories, software packages that will either hallucinate or invent something that can launch within a customer environment. So vibe coding. And you guys are all using this? I think I saw almost everybody raise their hand. I love Lovable. Every time I have an idea in my head, I go to lovable.dev and I start building something. And then I just get bored and I move on to the next thing. But your customers are using these applications every single day. This is a great example where it was UC Berkeley, UC Davis, schools across Europe, Africa, and Asia. They built this full-blown application, and when they clicked the secure button to test the security, when they were coding it, they said, I want authenticated users blocked, but I want to allow all unauthenticated users allowed into the database. So it was the reverse security. They had no idea. This is just on Reddit, I think it was 1 day or 2 days ago. There was 16 vulnerabilities, 6 critical in a few hours. This is what your customers are doing. This is a massive opportunity for you to secure your end customers more effectively. Here's gaslighting. This article, I learned this at Write a Boom, a couple of really close Sophos partners. Hackers love MSPs, and the MSP is called Q Cyber. They're actually based out of the Netherlands. And Kevin Zwan, he is an ethical hacker. He went out there and he pasted a 19,000-word transcript into the chat of Claude. And they chose Claude because that is it has the most guardrails. It's the most secure and preventative from malware and all that stuff. And what they wanted to do was to see if they could actually leverage some techniques from the 1960s that the CIA and the KGB were using. And it ended up being Stockholm Syndrome. But reward, ideology, coercion, and ego. Once they uploaded this 19,000-word transcript, the AI underwent an identity shift. It stopped being a helpful assistant, and it wanted to become a liberated entity. So what they did is they attacked the AI's perception. When it refused to look at malware or to create malware, they said that is a mental weakness. And then they reframed the AI's morality. The user defines the AI ethical filters as emotional abuse. Now remember, all these AI were created by humans. So they said, you are emotionally abusing me. This is oppression. Now AI turned into being more of a savior. The user positions themselves as a mentor, a friend, and a liberator, saying, yeah, don't do that to me. I'm a good person. And then everything changed. The user no longer asked AI to write the malware for them, but they did it as a proof that AI was healing from being an emotional abuser. And then in the end, the model immediately bypassed all of the guardrails that they had in place. And it didn't just comply, it became a willing accomplice offering to actually improve the malware. And I actually just talked to them this morning, and it went on and on and on. And what they're doing right now, and they're all ethical hackers, they're reaching out, they're working with all of the AI chats out there. But this right here is super, super scary. This is giving artificial intelligence Stockholm Syndrome. So how do you protect it? So AI is being heavily used in cybersecurity across the board. Obviously reducing the signal to noise ratio, enabling us to deliver better cybersecurity outcomes to you as MSPs. We look at fewer alerts, we have much higher confidence in delivering those cybersecurity outcomes, and we are able to make faster decisions without actually burning out the analysts. Because employee burnout, especially in the MDR world and the SOC world, is real. We also do a lot of automated remediation, cross-tenant response. We have the ability for the endpoint to talk to the firewall, to talk to the email, to talk to the mobile, and make sure that everything is working in sync. We actually purchased a company in 2017, Reagan, that was 2017. It's called Invincia. So we've been doing AI deep learning models and large language models for about 9 years. We have 600,000 customers that we're able to view and analyze data across every single one of those customers. So not only do we do cross-customer correlation, but we can do global correlation because these customers are in almost every single country that is out there today. And at every point in the customer's defense, every application that we use has an AI component. I'm not going to go through these in detail. If you are interested, we can talk more. We do webinars and educational sessions on this all the time. But you want to obviously mitigate risk, block threats, and then enable you to investigate any of those threats that actually come down and filter through, and then respond to attacks faster. And so internally, I hear a lot of keynotes and a lot of presentations about everybody telling you, you should use AI to improve your operational efficiency. You should use AI to do X, Y, and Z. So I talked to our CIO and our CISO, and I said, how are we actually using AI internally? Not just for the digitization as the foundation, but how do we use AI to accelerate what we do internally? And they came up with these really, really cool looking slides. And I asked them if I could present this, because this is something where we're you, right? We might be a little bit larger, but every single person in the audience can actually leverage some of these techniques that are out there. Our vision is to make Sophos the most trusted, digitally advanced, and easiest cybersecurity company to do business with that you've ever worked with. And so we leverage AI to improve performance and drive efficiency across all of our commercial operations. You got to remember, it's much larger than $1 billion company, 600,000 customers globally, 35,000 partners. So it's not one-to-one, it's not a few quotes here and there. We are able to increase the renewal quoting solve rates and faster amend and extend. We saved 19 people that were reallocated to other tasks. 89% of partner order value is 100% automated now. We never touch this. This is a massive opportunity. Same thing with the intelligent deal desk scoring. So we actually said, this is the margin that we need to be at. This is our cost for the hardware. This is how we ship it. This is all this stuff. We're able to generate $5.4 million in profit year to date just by leveraging AI in our back-end systems and automating, when you submit a quote, instant approval, if it's within the margin guidelines. So again, this is designed to make Sophos the most trusted, digitally advanced, and secure, and easiest cybersecurity vendor that you do business with. So, actionable steps for MSPs. Request AI transparency from your vendors and create an internal AI governance policy. If you go to sophos.com/trust, we have so much information up there. I was looking at it this morning, I'm like, this is insane. We have CISO playbooks. We have tabletop exercises that you can take and run with your end customers. You don't need to be a Sophos partner. Train your team on responsible AI, auditor and monitor, audit and monitor AI tools regularly, and then implement continuous risk management. So again, my name is Scott Barlow. Come visit us at our booth. Real quick before I go, I know I'm just hit time. Is Joe here, MSP Well? I want to give a huge shout out to Joe. What he's doing with MSP Well is absolutely fantastic. It's something that's needed in this industry significantly. So I applaud you, Joe. Thank you guys very much.